this pilot flies into some really rowdy air right over a peak, managed to stay out of a collapse, but then takes a huge collapse. Today, I'm going to use this video to help you understand a really important mindset as well as some technical advice to keep your glider open when it matters. You ready? Here we go.
See ya.
I'm paragliding! See ya!
What's up, everybody? This is Ari in the air. Welcome back to the channel. Stoked you're here. I'm Ari. I teach high-level paragliding, and I'm the founder of the Paragliding Men's Group. I've made over 200 tutorials on YouTube about paragliding, helping create safe, confident, and connected pilots. And honestly, my videos can only go so far in helping you have the skills that you need to stay safe. So if you really want to level up your flying, you should check out the Pine Man. It's my all-inclusive paragliding clinic here in Oregon at my home site, where you are going to be absolutely immersed in paragliding for an entire week. Tons of one-on-one mentorship with me and the camaraderie of a great group of pilots. Only 12 spots available. 4 are already taken. Pilots of all levels. We have one guy who's had 40 sled rides, and we have someone else who has 300 flight hours and wants to really level up his ground handling and launching game, as well as grow in the XC game. We're going to be covering everything. Links in the description below. Check it out. So let's get into today's video. I'm going to play it one time through, and then we're going to go back and break it down. Okay, so he's flying on Babada in Turkey, really low to the ground, flies into some big air, lots of brake input, glider collapses a little bit, 180 turn, lots of energy in the glider, pitches up, big collapse, pumping the brakes out. Oh God, what's gonna happen? Okay, there's some really obvious things here, so I'm gonna talk about some like basic rules to have and some mindset stuff and how to be a mature paragliding pilot, as well as some glider handling techniques. Okay, so first things first, first frame in the video, we see his shadow here by his feet. How high off the ground is this pilot currently? Maybe 100 feet. 100 feet in paragliding is nothing. That is scratching the deck. That is asking for it. That is a position where you do not want to find a climb. And surely this pilot in his head right now is thinking, I want to find a climb. Look, there's pilots specced out over the peak. I want to find a climb. Don't search for a climb where you don't want to find it, because sometimes a climb is going to collapse your glider, right? And like in the words of Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So don't look for a climb somewhere you don't want to find it. This is something I've learned, I wouldn't say the hard way, which I think you can be injured or killed trying to find a climb where you don't really want it. But I have been scared shitless when I flew into really rowdy air, really low to the ground with no margin for error. Okay, and that's what happens here. He flies in over Babada, this is the 1900 meter launch in Turkey. Okay, Baba Dog, everyone thinks this, no, it's Babada, but he's so low to the ground. He's way high up. Can be really sporty air up there. Okay, he flies into really active air. Watch, lots of brake input, manages to keep the glider open for the most part, but then he makes this horrible mistake. What's the horrible mistake? Turning a 180 around, flying right back into the same air at the same altitude to take a huge collapse. What is the point? What's the point? Obviously you don't have any margin for error right here. You fly through air that is more powerful than you can keep the glider completely open through. There are pilots climbing out front, but you choose, or maybe you just have no control over the glider here, to go 180 and fly directly back into the same air that just collapsed your glider so that it collapses your glider once again. What are you thinking? The rule that you should have is don't look for a climb somewhere you don't want to find one. And the bottom of thermals are always the twistiest, bumpiest, most turbulent part of thermals. So you don't want to find the shittiest, rattiest part of the thermal. You don't want to fly directly over the peak. You actually want to be out front, find the climb, connect to it, and then drift back high above the peak to the main core so that you can find the strong bits and continue on. And it's not to say that it's a horrible mistake to fly low right here, but if you don't have really masterful glider handling skills, then the moment that you are proven to be a day late and a dollar short, which is right here, the leading edge of the glider collapsing, the pilot not being able to keep the wing totally open, that's the proof that you should be flying away from this area. not back into it. And then the turning and flying right back into it, thinking that that's going to climb you out, you're just demonstrating desperation that paragliding is more important than your life, that paragliding is more important than your health, than your body, which is a fucking insane position to have in paragliding. It's an insane position to have. You do not want to have such low self-esteem and such low self-worth that you would rather find the climb and really radically risk your safety. It's not how you want to fly as a pilot. It's definitely not the kind of people I want to fly with. I don't want to be around it. I've already dealt with fatalities in paragliding and 5 helicopter rescues and injured people and smashed people and dead people. So I really don't want to fly around people who are a liability to my emotional health, because I'm going to watch them crater in because they want so badly to climb out that they don't have any kind of margin for error and they just fly around without margin. That's just my personal preference. To each their own. If you want to fly with yahoos who would rather have glory than safety, then, go for it. But in this case, look, you're low to the ground. You don't have a margin in the first place. Don't go searching for a climb somewhere you don't want to find it. And then when you find it and it collapses your glider, don't turn a 180 around and go fly right back into it. Okay? Because what I see here in the collapse recovery of the serious collapse is the pilot basically just pumps both of his hands, wishfully hoping that that the glider is gonna reopen. He doesn't weight shift to the right. He doesn't control the heading, right? Luckily it doesn't change the heading a ton anyways, because the glider's already pitching way over to the right. So when it collapses, it's already over to the right, but then it dives to the left and he only loses heading by about less than 90 degrees. But that's not because the pilot, masterfully controlled the heading and reopened the glider. So I don't say this to bring shade or try to humiliate anyone. I'm just trying to make it abundantly clear that if you want to fly a paraglider, then having a solid self-esteem and a solid self-preservation that you live to fly another day is more important than climbing out on any given flight. So keep mentors around who want you to have conservative decision making and lots of margin in your flying, and you should just pad your flying with lots of margin. And in paragliding, what is margin? Margin is conservative glider decisions and tons of fucking altitude and lots of training. So if you want training, I would love to have you immersed in paragliding in a week long, all-inclusive clinic here in Oregon. Tons of ground handling, tons of launching, amazing glass offs in the desert, thermaling in cross country, hike and fly, the whole thing. We have so much opportunity. You're going to fly yourself silly and you're going to learn a ton. You're going to level up as a pilot. You're going to do it in a group of like-minded pilots. So link is in the description below. There's only 12 spots available for that. 4 are already sold. It's already a very varied group of pilots, from pretty green, couple years flying, and to, one of my returning clients is coming back for his 5th paragliding tour with me. He has 500 flight hours and is always learning more and more about the XC, the thermaling, the ground handling, the launching, landing, all of the mindset stuff. So we'd love to have you. Links in the description below. Hope this is helpful. Thanks so much to the pilot who sent this in. He wanted his mistake to be used so that everyone can learn from it. I appreciate that. Send me videos to my email, arianeer@gmail.com, via WeTransfer or Google Drive for full resolution, people. See you in the next episode.